Hello and welcome everybody to another Albion Online Dev Talk. Today I want to talk a little about what has been happening in 2020 so far, what you can expect next, and a tiny bit about what's on the horizon. So let's get started. 2020 so far has been a crazy and exciting year for Albion Online. We've pushed out 2 major updates and had a massive growth in player numbers, setting one record after another. At the same time, just like everybody else, we've had to adjust to living and working in the middle of a global pandemic. Our last update, Rise of Avalon, was developed by our team almost entirely from their homes. Since then, we've been so busy dealing with the challenges of a distributed production and the technological challenges of increased player numbers, whilst also working on patches and future content, that we've barely been able to talk about what has been happening with Albion Online. Now it's finally time to correct this. We have 2 exciting releases coming to Albion in the near future. The first one is our Brimstone and Mist mid-season update. In this update, we're expanding on the features we released with Rise of Avalon this summer. We're adding a large number of new mobs and traps to corrupted dungeons. These include Hellhounds, a dual crossbow-wielding corrupted heretic, a demon that likes to heal itself by eating its friends, a very aggressive predator demon, deadly spike traps, all-new lava traps, and an all-new final boss, the demonic Harbinger. We've seen that players spend many hours in the corrupted dungeons and hope that by increasing the variety of challenges and content in these dungeons, we can make them stay fresh and interesting for both PvE and PvP players. We've also rebalanced the number of NPCs and increased demonic shard health in Slayer difficulty based on your feedback. For the Roads of Avalon, we've added more variety to the environment by adding water areas particularly suited to fishing. To complement that, we're adding an exclusive type of rare fish that can only be caught in the Roads of Avalon, and we're adding an all-new line of food and a corresponding rare fish recipe to round things off. Finally, we're bringing major changes to Disarray and the Smart Cluster queue. Disarray is changing completely. Instead of reducing your strength against all targets, the impact of Disarray will now depend on the relative difference between Disarray levels between you and your target. If you massively outnumber your opponent, you will still have reduced damage output and CC duration. But when evenly matched with your opponent's force, your power will be unaffected. This change will significantly change the dynamics of ZVZ fights, boosting the importance of damage dealers and healers, and making sure that each ZVZ role stays impactful no matter the size of the battle. At the same time, Disarray will still retain its role in protecting smaller groups from the overwhelming power of larger groups. For the Smart Cluster queue, we're working on giving the players more control over their army in cases where the Smart Cluster queue is active. The system will now try to keep existing parties together as much as possible, and party leaders can now assign a party as well as a player priority to determine the order in which players join the battle. This replaces the current system for preferred cluster access on a guild level. We've also improved the way the system deals with players of the same guild and alliance, ensuring players from the same group will never displace their allies in the target cluster. We're looking forward to seeing how these changes are received. This should bring significant improvements to the way large battles will play out. Brimstone and Mist also brings a large number of smaller changes and improvements which you can already check out on our test servers and which will be released with the rest of the update on October 21st. The second major improvement you can look forward to is the introduction of proper in-app updating for the Android version and the start of our Google Play Store open beta. Although it has always been possible to play Albion Online on your Android device, the process has been quite inconvenient and required you to re-download the entire game every patch. With the introduction of the new in-app updating, the size of the APK download will dramatically reduce, and the game will then download the changed content only, which should result in much faster patching. This will be introduced with the Brimstone and Mist update. But please note that its benefit will mostly apply to future patches, since this update contains significant structural changes and will need to be downloaded as a whole. In addition to the mobile updating improvements, we're providing an even more convenient way of playing Albion Online on your Android devices. At the beginning of November, we're planning to begin the Google Play Store beta. You'll be able to install and update Albion Online via the Google Play Store, making it easy and convenient to keep the game updated. After the launch of this beta, we will focus our attention on bringing similar improvements to iOS. And with these steps, the final release of Albion on mobile is getting closer and closer, and with it, our vision of a truly cross-platform MMORPG is becoming more and more real. Of course, this update and the mobile version aren't all we've been working on. Work has already begun on our next content update, in which we finally want to deliver our long-standing roadmap goal of a massively improved faction warfare system and a rework of the Royal Continent. And that is still not all, however, because work has also begun on some really exciting improvements in addition to Albion's Hellgates. To learn more about our plans, stay tuned for our next Dev Talk coming up soon. For now, however, you can look forward to the release of the Brimstone and Mist mid-season update on the 21st of October 2020.